Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Evan. I
Okay.
even forgot I was supposed to do the intro.
I think whoever said you needed to be doing these intros has really worried you.
Let's go back to.
Yeah. So it's always good to um, be on your screens and have a wonderful time chatting about various topics in marriage or in relationships. So I hope you as eager as we are to jump on every Saturday and get talking. And this past which day was that? It was Val's Day a couple of days ago. Which day was that? So 3 days ago. That's fine. 3 days ago, it was Val's Day, and I hope you guys had a wonderful Val's Day. I hope um, you didn't blow all your money. I hope you still have some money to live life because there is life after Val's Day. Okay, so as usual, please go out there and shoot a message to your family, to your friends that it's time for the Evan. And as usual, if you think these discussions are share worthy, go ahead, share out there. I mean, react to it. But more importantly, we want to hear from you in the comment section because we want to understand what you actually feel about what we're discussing so we can make the discussion a lot more holistic. We want to hear your perspective as well. Again, everything we come here to say is the perspective of two young people. It's not all encompassing. You might have what you think, you might have what you believe about a particular topic we're discussing, which might make a lot more sense than what we say. And so always do us the favor of letting us hear what you think about whatever we're discussing. And as you join us, please, as usual, shoot a hello, shoot a hi so we know you are there. Hey, Akimbola, good to have you. Okay, so today, as usual, I would say that everything we're going to talk about is very important. But today, I feel the topic we're going to address is super important. Without it, most marriages don't do well. We're talking about respect. Respect. Prissy, when you hear respect, what comes to mind?
So, for me, I feel that respect is a way of. I don't want to use it. When respecting, acknowledging somebody else's feelings,
Okay.
emotions, beliefs,
Okay.
boundaries, respecting boundaries.
Okay.
And so it's more like acknowledging and then respecting your partner. Did I say
Okay.
respecting boundaries?
Yeah, you
Use them.
said that. We can. No,
I don't
I
know a
pretended
much
I didn't
simpler
hear.
word to use.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also it could also mean self-respect. You also need to have that self-respect to be able to accord somebody respect.
Wow, that's a really interesting one. So, what you're saying is that respect shouldn't necessarily be only towards your partner, but another form of respect that is required in the relationship or in marriage should be you respecting
Yes. Yeah.
yourself. Why do you think that is important?
Because I believe that it starts from being able to respect someone. It starts from
Okay.
being able to respect yourself as well. Um,
Oh,
so if you don't know even how to um, respect yourself, it'll be hard for you to give somebody that respect.
okay. Okay. So, is it always that people are not able to respect others because they don't respect themselves, or there are situations where there could be someone who doesn't respect himself or herself, but could still accord some respect to someone else in a relationship.
Yes, sometimes it does, but I believe that it's just like love. You cannot give something you don't have, or you can't give yourself. You know, so that's how respect also works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as you were giving what you thought about respect, yeah, I've shifted the whole thing to you. I think you're saying something very interesting and noteworthy. So, as you, for example, relating with someone, okay, is there a time where you think that if someone doesn't do what elicits respect, the other partner should still go ahead to accord that person the respect, right? So what I mean is that, let's say partner A, because from what you said, you need to actually respect yourself before you can give respect, right? So let's say the man, or no, I wouldn't use any genders here. So let's say partner A, for some reason, doesn't respect himself, okay, or herself. Is it expected that the other partner still respects that person, or it should always be a give and take affair? If you respect yourself, I'll respect you. What do you think?
I also believe that respect is a reflection of your personal character and not the person's, whoever you are respecting's character. So you should show respect in every situation. Though we say that respect is earned, but there's a way you can respect someone and still be, maybe if the person is disrespectful, there's a way you can still be able to respect the person, because you can set boundaries and decide not to go beyond the person's boundary and everything. But there is sometimes about being earned, someone wanting you to respect them in a certain way that they cannot reciprocate. Sometimes it's also difficult. There are times that you need to like be stern or hard on the people. I don't think that being stern is also disrespect, but it's a dicey situation sometimes.
Okay, so if I hear you well, what you're saying is that you're giving someone respect, or you showing someone respect shouldn't be dependent on the person.
Yes,
it should be dependent on you.
That should be the case here.
Okay. I really think that you said something very, very important and very wise, because then if people can stick to this very small or rather simple principle, I know practically it's not so easy, but if people can stick to this simple principle, a lot of issues in marriages or relationships will not be there, right? Because most times people tend to give like the law of action and reaction, right? So people tend to give out or reciprocate whatever they receive from one partner. But from what you're saying, it should be regardless of what your partner is offering. But don't you think that it would also give that other partner who is messing up or who is not respecting himself or herself more room to think that, oh, okay, whether I respect myself or not, I'm getting respect. So why do I even put in the effort?
That is why I also brought in that self-respect. So let's say you have boundaries that you are setting. That's okay. I have my space. Sometimes I need my space. You also have your space. I don't want to get into your space. Maybe if you are busy doing work, I know that you are working, so that is not the time for me to come and be bugging you with stuff, right? So if I have a partner who always intrudes and does not respect my space, or doesn't mean that I have to respect mine, so I'll let you know that. Yes, so it is also a form of showing yourself self-respect. In addition to, so if the person is not respecting your you let the person know that I respect my time. This is my boundaries. So don't. So that is where it comes in. That self-respect also comes in.
This is awesome. I wish I had a notebook to be taking notes, because I really feel you saying something very, very smart and very, very wise. And I'm not saying this because it's you, but okay, so what you're saying is the demonstration of self-respect is sometimes calling out your spouse for disrespecting you,
yeah.
right? So it's not like, okay, you take it cool, you take it easy, and that means you're actually respecting your spouse or your partner. The demonstration of that respect could actually be that, hey, please respect.
Yeah, respect my time, respect my feelings.
Okay, wow, this is awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think you have something to add to this, I'm constantly checking on the chat. Let us know what you think. Okay, so Prissy, quick one. Say you get married, because sometimes certain things don't surface before marriage, but say you get married and your spouse create a boundary that the person needs you to respect, but for some reason you think that no, this is not a practical or realistic boundary. You try to communicate, but it doesn't look like anything is coming out of it. What would be, because of your principle of, okay, you respect yourself, what would be your approach to that?
So you have tried communication,
right?
I feel the only way is to communicate it, but if the person doesn't,
and the person still
it depends on how you communicate it too.
Okay.
So if you can communicate it for the person to validate that what you are saying is really true. Even though we always say we are not the same, I don't expect my partner to treat me the same way I treat them. Yeah, because of our differences in temperament and how we were raised and all that. But I believe the best way is to talk about it and maybe use scenarios and everything and acknowledge that it is hurting you or whatever they are doing is. But then if it doesn't work out, I don't know how you are going to, because I believe communication is a way of resolving issues or conflict. So if you have the best means to communicate it, then fine. But if it's not working, I don't know how you are going to get that resolved.
Okay. Now to go. Thanks for joining us. So okay, I have another question about this whole respect thing. Do you think practically people can re-earn respect they've lost? Let's say that there is one spouse who, lost all respect because he got involved in something, he messed up, blah blah blah. Do you think that it is possible to re-earn respect, and how easy is that?
I also think it's the partner you have. It's small. There are some people who are easily forgiving and so they can just overlook things. There are some that have pen and paper. Taking notes. It's like they are already pessimists, so they are expecting that things will go wrong and say that, yeah, I said it, you've not changed.
Right.
And then usually when you expect something to happen, that's when, like we always say, when you look for something, you find it. When you expect it to happen, every least, it might even be a mistake, but you see it as disrespecting. It's not conscious, but we see it as disrespecting. So the one who did something for the respect to be lost must work, because you have to now work more to earn the respect. So you have to, it is more difficult to work to earn that respect than when you have lost, than not losing it at all. So you have to put in more, and then you should know the sort of partner you have. So it means that if you have a partner who is like easygoing and says that, okay, let's start all over again, then you know that the work is easier. But then if you know that this one is a litigious one, the one that will put pen and paper down and be watching every move and doing every investigation, then you are in for trouble. You have to do more.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Senor, thanks for joining us. Okay, so Prissy, I have this question as well. Do you, because as you were speaking, I felt that in order not to even get to a certain point, one question that people in relationships should be asking themselves is, what does respect mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a very important question to
Yeah.
ask, because as you were speaking, I was just thinking through. Hey, Paul, good to have you. I was just thinking through. There are some boundaries that people have that are not necessarily
disrespect.
Yeah, exactly. Like they are in general, you not call them real like boundaries that like really matter, right? So some could stem from upbringing, most of them. Some could be due to cultural stuff, right? And like, for example, there are people who would think that if they speak and their partner or their spouse shares, especially for the men, their partner shares their view, which is contrary to them, that is disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
You get it? Because it's more like your husband has spoken, or your Lord, your Lord has
Master and Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
A master and servant. Yeah.
Master and servant, yeah. So your Lord has spoken. Why are you actually trying to go against what your Lord has said, right? So I really think that from the get-go, when you guys are trying to make things happen, trying to know each other, one of the most important questions is, what does respect mean to you?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you would hear people saying that, okay, say for example, if you are serving your husband, for example, I don't know how people have a lot of time to watch out on all these things, like, but you are serving your husband, like maybe you should go down or something. The way the world is framed and the way everyone is hustling and bustling and going around, I don't see how you would even have time to say, oh, my wife should do XYZ or my husband should do XYZ before I would say that my spouse respects me, right? So I think that a very important discussion to have is, what does respect mean to you? So that through that you can actually understand what the thought process of your spouse is. Then you can know if this is something you can live with, or live with that.
I agree with you on that notion, because what we see as respect in one country or one continent might not necessarily be, or disrespect in one continent might not necessarily be disrespect in another continent. So it is really culturally linked. Yeah.
Right.
So let's say in the West, where we share chores, you see a man going to the kitchen and maybe the woman thinks, I don't like cooking. And it's okay for the man to go to the kitchen and cook for the family all the time. But then let's reverse it back to maybe Ghana. When your relatives come and they see that the lady is seated and the man is cooking, hey, this woman has sent the man somewhere.
Exactly.
And
absolutely.
So it is, for me, I believe that it depends on where you are coming from. And so that is why, like, knowing that this is respect here, if you are even doing cross-cultural marriages and all that, some people also cares. For them, it's normal.
Right.
And they even laugh about it.
Right.
Yeah, but some people also don't like cursing. So I might be with my spouse, and I was raised in a family where everybody is cursing and laughing over it, and I think it's normal. I use it on my spouse, and because my spouse is prim and proper. So it is more or less like how you were raised, where you come from, and all that. So it's one essential topic we need to talk about.
Exactly. And it's good you raise this cross-cultural thing, because, and that's why I admire cross-cultural relationships, right? Because there is a lot of learning, unlearning, and relearning to be done in those relationships. Yeah, it happens in other relationships as well, but it's more intense when it comes to cross-cultural relationships, or the demands are more, because you, at least for a marriage that is, I mean, with people from the same culture, there are things that are common, right? But you can have a cross-cultural relationship and almost everything needs to be learned from that your spouse's perspective as well. Then, and about this thing that you mentioned, so for one, because of where we come from, if I hear a spouse curse, I mean the other spouse, or use foul language, I go like really? I mean, how is this? But for, just as you said, other people will smile about it. It's more like, oh yeah, and the person will also
curse back.
give you a curse back. It's more like it's a greeting. Yeah, like you just. But so it's really, really important to understand what the boundaries are, what respect is, and all with your spouse. So Senor was laughing at, I guess, the part about the woman has sent the guy somewhere. Then Akimbola gave a thumbs up. Then Akimbola is saying that I believe effective communication should address the understanding of what respect is to one spouse. Yeah. So effective communication, very, very important, because it sometimes it becomes surprising, to know that, oh, maybe your spouse is angry about something, and then you keep asking, hey, I mean, what's the issue? And your spouse tells you, and you go like, oh, so is this the reason why you are angry? To you, it's like, how do you get angry because of this? Again, that is why effective communication is very important. Know what the boundaries are. Know what something means to another person. So think about it. In some cultures, you dare not give an elderly person something with your left, right? Or serve your spouse with your left. In other cultures, they believe every hand in a hand. Like, so how on earth does that matter? Like, in any way, how it is disrespect, I mean, read into by someone just giving something with the left. And these things are what shapes us, right? Sometimes you don't even know, but just by watching your parents, or when you were growing up, whoever you grew up with, just by watching them, you automatically pick up some things. And you expect that, okay, if I marry a spouse or a respectful spouse, the spouse should do this. Yeah, this is the way they're supposed to do things. And without knowing, you actually have invisible boundaries. And sometimes if your spouse is even asking you, okay, so what are your boundaries? What do you term respect? What do you term disrespect? Sometimes you might not even be able to point it out, because it's not something you've consciously established. But say your spouse does something, then it triggers the memory in your hard drive. Then you go like, no, but this is disrespectful, because of you've grown up with whatever you learned from your upbringing, and then you realize that, oh, apparently you have this boundary as well, and you thought this was disrespect, and blah blah blah. So I think even with the communication bit, it should be something that would be continuous, right?
Yeah. I want to also say something.
Yeah.
So like, where we come from, if an adult says something,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the adult is lying, you can't say you are lying.
No,
you
adults don't lie. Yeah.
You can't prove further, because if you try to prove further, it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
So people have also taken that into marriage too. So like if maybe your husband, who is supposed to be the head of the family, does something wrong, and you probably tell him it's wrong, or you want to probe.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you disrespecting me?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you being inquisitive is also a form of disrespect, sort of, because of where the person comes from.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say something in addition to that. Sometimes spouses use that disrespect card as a very easy trump card to just brush off things. You get what I mean? So you discussing something, your spouse is asking you real sensible questions, and you go like, "Don't disrespect me." Don't, you know, that way I mean, and if you also have a spouse, the other spouse who really doesn't, and now I'm using your terms, who really doesn't have that self-respect to keep probing and say that, hey, like, I am your spouse, I need to know. Then in that case, you realize that, okay, the spouse will immediately be shut down and cannot continue with the discussion again. So if you are okay, so Senor is laughing. I'm sure Senor really can relate to that. So if you are a spouse who uses that card, I mean, as a trump card to just shut your spouse down, you are not respecting your spouse. Right? Because you actually in your mind feel like your spouse should be so gullible that whatever you say, your spouse should say, okay, yeah, that's fine, that's good. And if you have a spouse like that, chances are that you are not actually getting a lot of input to help shape your decisions, right? Because if everything you say, your spouse has to say yes, it's also a form of disrespect. You don't respect your spouse's mental faculty that it is matured enough to actually give you input. There are cases where it is fair to admit that, especially like you are talking something technical. Like, for example, now if I'm talking about something telecom engineering, or I'm talking 5G, and Prissy is giving suggestions, chances are that I'll disrespect those suggestions because she doesn't have expertise into that. In the same way, if she's also talking biochemistry and macrophages and stuff, I can only listen and say yeah, but I can't give anything tangible, right? In such cases, it is fine. But when you are addressing basic life skills, life issues, and stuff, I think that you should respect your spouse enough to hear what your spouse also has to say. Otherwise, I put it to you that you married wrong. If your spouse is not developed enough to tell you whatever for you to take or consider at least, then you married wrong. Now, let me chip this in. One thing that I find also disrespectful, and especially for people coming from Africa and all, who can really relate, is people insulting their spouses. I think that's one of the most disrespectful things you can get involved in. Think about it. You say you hear a spouse calling the wife. Let me be very whatever. A man calling the wife the B word, right? B word, I wouldn't mention. It's not wholesome for my mouth. I mean, like a female dog. Go find what the B word that refers to that. In my mind, the moment I hear that, you know how I process it. I go like, oh, Mr. Husband, you are admitting you are a dog. That's why you married a female dog. You get it? I don't understand why you marry someone who is supposed to be your partner for life, and you can freely and happily rain insults on the person, it shows that you don't respect yourself. Clearly. I mean, because remember, you guys are one, so whatever you actually throw in at the person, you are actually saying that you were not smart enough and you went to marry that thing, that object, or that picture you are framing with your words, that insult, whatever it is. You were not smart enough. That's why you ended up marrying a spouse who was that. So, hey, in the heat of arguments and everything, sometimes we lose our minds and all, but let's always remember to have that element of respect in our relationships and in our marriages. I think we might revisit this because there are various facets we can talk about that we've not done justice to today. So thank you so much again, Prissy, for all the insights you brought. I think I need to rewatch this video again because you released some very awesome nuggets. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of Dear Van. And as always, remember that no two relationships are the same. Thank you, cheers, and bye for now.
Bye.